All right, so we're going to be in the book. It is on page 347. That is the first page of the homework. There is a lovely large amount of like gap space on the right side of the page. So you can just like straight up write this in the book there, or if you want to grab a piece of paper, I've got a bunch of paper over there by where the turn-in bin is. You're welcome to do that. Well, we're just going to do these three problems together, and that's going to be it. So, remembering what we talked about yesterday, we need to isolate the absolute value. We're going to deal with our index for how we get rid of the root, and then we need to solve. Those are our steps. Remember, solve means get to x equals, or in this case, since our variable is p, we need to get to p equals, all the way down to the letter all by itself. So, looking at this problem up here, this one is number 4. What's my first step going to be? The 2. What are we going to do with the 2? I was going to say, it's being added to, so what are we going to use? Subtraction. So we're going to subtract this 2 from both sides. So that's going to give us the square root of 3p plus 7 equals 6 minus 2 is 4. What-a-doot. So now my square root is all by itself. What are we going to do to get rid of the square root? Square it. This is a square root. So if we had a number right here, it would be an invisible 2, which means I need to square this to get rid of that root. But whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. So we wind up with 3p plus 7 equals 4 squared, which is 16.
Wait, I got a question.
Yes, my friend.
Okay, so we're looking at square root, so you don't square 3p and 7.
Correct, because the square root and the square cancel out. So then looking at this line here, what are we going to do to get our variable all by itself? Subtract the 7. That's a great first step, giving us 3p equals 9. One more. Divide by 3. So we get that p equals 3. We have one more step that I should have put over here, but I didn't, because at the very end, we always need to go back and check it to see if this is a valid solution or if this is an extraneous solution. To check it, we are going to grab whatever side of my equation has variables, and we're going to type that expression into the calculator. So to check it, grab another color, we're going to go 2 plus square root of 3 times, there we go, times 3 plus 7. And you can just type that whole darn thing into the calculator. This is our check. You can also do it by hand. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 7 is 16, square root of 16 is 4, 2 plus 4 is 6. And that is in fact what this is supposed to be. Since I had a 6 up here, we have a 6 down here, this is good. We are good and this is valid. It checks. If it is not valid, it is extraneous. Correct. Questions on this one? Okay. Let us look at number 12. I figured we had a tech issue. 12. Oh, N. There we go. I'm like, definitely it's not 5 point. 5n minus 1 to the power of 1/3 times 4 minus 1. So this one's number 12. So this is using those fractional exponents. Fractional exponents mean the exact same thing as a cube root. So if you are one of those people that prefers a cube root, do that. 4 times the cube root of 5n minus 1. It means the same thing. Minus 1 equals 0. It means the same exact thing. Those two things are identical, aside from the handwriting looking like garbage. Those are exactly the same things. So if you prefer this one, use it. If you prefer this one, use it. It's the exact same process. So no matter which one you like, which one, what are we going to do first? We're not going to distribute. We cannot multiply into when there's a power. We can add 1. On either one of these, we're going to add 1. I'm going to use the exponent one so that we practice with that, because I've used the root one before. So we have 4 times 5n minus 1 to the 1/3 equals 1. Ew, this one's gross. That's okay. Then what are we going to do? Not square by 3. We got to deal with that 4. This, I need this all by itself before I can do anything with my exponents. So yeah, we're going to divide it, I heard that one, by the 4. So we're going to get a fraction and it's gross, and that's okay. So we have 5n minus 1 to the 1/3 equals 1/4. Gross. Sorry, y'all. I picked these in a rush this morning. Now what are we going to do? Yeah, we need to get rid of that cube root. We need to get rid of that fractional exponent. So what we do is we raise it to the 3rd power, because that's going to make 3/3, which makes an exponent of 1. And we need to take 1/4 also to the 3rd power, which you can do in your calculators with a fraction of 1/4. Put parentheses around it. Or you can do 0.25 to the 3rd. And we get that, so this guy and that guy cancel out, and we're left with 5n minus 1 equals 1/64. 1/64. So we're just gonna like live in the calculator for solving this. Don't try and do these in your head. Please use the calculators. And you can straight up type in, I put in 1/4 as a fraction and raised it to the 3rd power. So then we're going to get n by itself. So what are we going to do to get there? Just look at this side. What do we do to get n by itself here? Add 1. Plus 1 on both sides. Gross. I don't like this one at all. Oh my gosh. Sorry, y'all. 1/64 plus 1 gives us, well, 1/64 plus 1, or 65/64. Gross. Ish. Ignoring the right-hand side. What do we need to do to the left in order to... there we go. What do I need to do to the left here to get n by itself? I put it in the calculator. And I put 1 over 64 plus 1. They common denominated it and got 64 over 64 plus 1 over 64 to get 65 over 64. I'm pretty sure the ones in the homework aren't this gross. I just randomly picked a couple off the page, and the book is jerks. So, ignore what's on this side. How do I get n by itself? Divide it by 5. Calculators are our friends, and I pick a different problem for the rest of today because this was gross. So we're going to divide both sides by 5. And I can just take this whole piece and divide it by 5. It came out less gross, surprisingly. So we have n equals 13 over 64. Type it in the calculator. Even though it is super gross, we still have to check it. So we're going to put it in the calculator. I'm going to come up where I can see my whole equation. And we're going to check and see if 4 times 5 times 13 over 64 minus 1 to the 1/3 minus 1. I want to know what that equals. And we're just going to carefully type this into the calculator. 13 over 64 minus 1 to the power of 1 over 3 minus what? I typed it in my calculator and I did get a 0, which means this is a valid solution. This checks. So we solve, type it in the calculator. Just type one side in. I took this left side, substituted in for my n, and I did get, in fact, what it was supposed to equal. Questions on this one? Okay, we're going to do one of the ones that has more than one square root next, because there is one like it on the homework, and I want to make sure we practice that. Okay, because we are going to do number 18. We did one very much like it yesterday during notes. Almost, or not as identical as the one between the demo and the homework, but super duper close. So I already have one square root by itself, but I have another square root over here. Unfortunately, there's not anything I can do to make both of them isolated at the same time, so we just pick our battles. Since I already have one that's isolated, I'm going to go with that. So we're going to start with pretending to solve this guy. How do I unsquare root this guy? Square it. I'm going to square this side. That means I also need to square this whole side. My square and my square root cancel out, leaving me with this side of x minus 10 equaling. And then I have to multiply all of these together. I'm going to box them because I feel like we're very familiar with boxing. But you can do whatever multiplication method you choose. When we say square the side, what that means is we are going to square 1 minus the square root of x times 1 minus the square root of x. We have to multiply all the pieces. All the pieces. So we're going to have, in this box, we have 1 times 1. What is 1 times 1? 1. And here we have 1 times the square root of x, or 1 times negative square root of x. So we get the negative square root of x, just times 1. Down here we have 1 times the negative square root of x. So again, we get the negative square root of x. How about this one? Negative square root of x times negative square root of x. What's going to go here? Say it louder. Not positive square root of x. The negative times the negative is a positive, so we know that for sure. I have the square root of x times the square root of x. So the square root of x squared. If I have the square root of x times the square root of x, what we're left with is x. Square root of x times the square root of x. There's 2 of them. This is also known as the square root of x times itself squared. So that's how we get x for that bottom right-hand corner. These are not going to come up super frequently, but there is one in the homework, which is why I wanted to go through it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all these guys from inside the house and line them up over here and then go, oh my gosh, there's still so much left to do. We have 1. I have negative square root of x and negative square root of x, which means I have 2 square roots of x plus x. So then now we're down to the point where I only have 1 square root. So now we're doing our whole beginning of the steps again. We're going to isolate. I want to get that square root by himself. I need this guy to be by himself. So I need everything that's not this guy to scooch their booch over here. So what can I move from this line to come over here? What should we do? We're going to move the x. Are we going to add this x or subtract this x? Subtract it. Perfect. I'm going to minus x from both sides. Is there anything else we can see to move right here? Not the 2 yet. But could I move the 1? Yeah. Is the 1 positive or is the 1 negative? The 1 is positive, which means what operation are we going to use to move the 1? Subtraction. So I have x minus x, meaning those guys cancel out. We have negative 11. These guys canceled out. These guys canceled out. We have negative 2 square root of x. Ew, this one's also gross. But that's okay. We'll deal. Now what can we do with that 2? Divide. We're going to divide by negative 2. Divide by negative 2. That's going to leave me with, there we go. My negative 2 cancels with my negative 2. We have the square root of x equals, and 11 over 2, you can do it as a fraction, or you can do it as 5.5. I genuinely do not care which way you put it. You could also just have it as 11 over 2, 11 halves. That works. So let's get that x by itself. We're almost done here. What do I do to unsquare root the x? Square it. Square it. So we have 5.5 squared, which you can put in the calculator and get 30.25, or you can take your 11 over 2 and square it and get 121 over 4. But that equals x. We do still want to check this. So we are going to have to run the check twice, or we're going to have to run operations twice to check it. So we're going to take our square root of 30.25 minus 10. And I want to know what that equals. And we're going to see what 1 minus the square root of 30.25 is. So we're going to type both of those in the calculator. Square root of 30.25 minus 10 gives us 4.5 for the purple one. And I want to know if that equals 1 minus the square root of 30.25. I get negative 4.5. Are those the same thing? 4.5 and negative 4.5? No. So is this a valid solution? No. This means this solution is extraneous. So this is not valid. It is extraneous. It's so extra. So make sure you go back and check. Make sure you go back and check, please. We got to make sure it's a valid solution. It isn't. This one is not valid. This is extraneous. Any questions on these three specifically? Any questions on this lesson more less specifically? Okay. So homework 6.6 is almost identical to what we did. In fact, these problems were all pulled directly from the homework pages. They were not homework questions, but they were homework pages. We have the chapter test on Friday. That is not going to change if the weather holds up. Whatever voodoo dance you gotta do, please let the weather stay. I need a snow day. Y'all, I need a snow day. Because we get a real one. So even if we have a weather day tomorrow, we are still going to have the test on Friday. The reviews are out. The paper review is up there. There is a review on Alex as well. The answer key to the paper review, I've got it on the board. There's also a PDF copy of it on Canvas. But the test is Friday. Friday's the test. We're having the test Friday. Okay? If we do have a snow day tomorrow and you're working on stuff and you have questions, send me messages. I'll have my phone with me. Okay? You can send me messages on Canvas. You can send me email. You can send me to the text line. I'll have them. Because honestly, I will be either cleaning or reading. But I need a day. I need a day. Just one. It's time. Okay? So y'all have a good chunk of time. We got 15 minutes, a solid 15 minutes. Work on the homeworks. Ask questions. We are here to help. We are here to answer questions. All that jazz. But I'm just being real clear. Don't come to me on Friday if we got a day tomorrow saying, I thought it'd be pushed back. It's not pushing back. We have it on Friday.